Hello, my name is Thomas Woodrow Wilson, and I was the 28th President of the United States of America. I was invited here to celebrate 100 years of education in Rapid City, and, as the only American president to hold a PhD, I agree with this worthy cause. When Rapid City was booming in the early 1900s, it had 6 elementary schools named after presidents, including one after me, Woodrow Wilson Elementary. In December of 1929, located by what is now known as Mount Rushmore Road, 3 stories of brick and concrete formed a building that would hold 10 classrooms and serve 350 students. This school was built in response to the swiftly growing population on West Boulevard. Rapid City then was much smaller than it is today. In fact, West Boulevard was considered the countryside at that time. The school officially opened in January of 1930, and the first principal, Laura Platt, received an autographed picture of me from my wife, which still hangs in the hallway to this day. With hardly a delay, Wilson's first Parent-Teacher Association was formed in February of 1930, beginning a long history of partnership. Because kindergarten was not included until 1948, this school originally held 1st through 6th grades only. At that time, children attended class from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with an hour break for lunch, perhaps visiting L.L. Smith's candy store across the street to buy penny candy and school supplies.
And then I ended up going to 3rd grade, started, I think it was 51 that year. So I went from 3rd all the way through to the 6th grade at Wilson School. There was no tennis court there, and there was no fence at all. It was open all the way through, and they had a couple of swing sets out there. And the park was there with the ice skating rink, and it had a wading pool.
The school would not remain in its original state forever. In 1955, 10 classrooms, a stage, and a gymnasium were added to the building. Donald Varco would become our principal for 2 years, until he was succeeded by Ellen Lee in 1957. In the 1960s, the old gymnasium was renovated into a library. The boiler room, meanwhile, was a fully functional bomb shelter, complete with water, food, and supplies. You can still see where coal was loaded through the ceiling. In 1985, Mary Heilman would become the principal, succeeding Dr. Phyllis Dixon, Harry Brendan, and Dr. William Hines. Around that time, we began our cherished tradition of the 1950s dance, now known as the Decades Dance. It was not until 1993 that Wilson became a K-5 school, and 3 years later, Wilson alumnus Adam Vinatieri was signed by the New England Patriots. He even wished our school a happy 70th anniversary. In 2003, Kathy Conlon became principal, joined by our present-day secretary, who has served Wilson for 21 years. In 2004, the National PTA recognized Wilson Elementary as a Parent Involvement School of Excellence, a distinction, I think, of which it is still worthy. In 2005, Wilson celebrated 75 years, and 5 years later, Robin Gillespie would become the principal. 2012 marked the transition of kindergarten from half to full-day classes, and 3 years later, Wilson Elementary would turn 85. Gina Kimball became the next principal in 2016, the year our famous crossing guard, war veteran Paul Price, retired at age 90, after decades of safely guiding our children across Mount Rushmore Road. We are grateful for the service of our teachers, and honor among them Mrs. Dittmer, who was featured in the Black Hills Parent magazine in 2017 as a teacher of excellence. At that time, after being held briefly under the care of Deb Steele, our school welcomed its 12th and current principal, Brad Cheney. Unfortunately, Wilson was not able to celebrate its 90th year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. While some students still came to school, many others studied at home. We wore masks, washed hands, and socially distanced. Today, Wilson's original structure is 94 years old and is included in the West Boulevard Historic District. Decorated with murals, the art of our students and of the Lakota people, the hallways still have original bells, original doors, and show the signs of a long-gone shaft. Many generations of families have attended Wilson Elementary. For 100 years, children have played here in the fall leaves shed by towering trees. Wilson's community today includes veterans, architects, school staff, teachers, hard-working mothers, and fathers, and so much more.
It was a good school. A lot of good friends there that we kept all these years. We keep them for 80 some odd years. Okay. And quite a few are still around. Yeah, here in town.
Thank you for inviting me to the 100 years celebration, and thank you for honoring my memory.